everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra and see how this particular phone holds up in 2025. Now, the thing I will definitely tell you first of all is that this type of device I think is still a very, very good device in almost every single way you can imagine. It's a very good phone. I think it looks beautiful. And it's only like a year and a half old, or not even 2 years old, kind of 2 years old almost. This is still a very good phone when it comes down to it. So we'll take a look at that throughout this whole entire video. But first things first, if you do want to pick up this phone or some other phones I would recommend buying this year, links will be down in the description below. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the exact same time. Now, starting off with the outside of the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra, this phone originally came out back in 2023. So it is like a little bit of an older device when it comes down to it. Now this thing is giving you a 1440p display. It's a dynamic AMOLED display, right? So this is like a very, very good panel. It still is like an excellent panel when it comes down to it, right? It's 1750 nits of brightness, which looks pretty good. You're getting 120 Hz refresh rate there. It's a curved design, right? So it's a curved panel, which is a little bit different than what we were getting basically nowadays. So when you actually take a look at some of the competition, even when you compare it against, Samsung's current Ultra phone, you are missing out on this curved side because this phone has it. The S24 Ultra is basically just a flat phone all throughout. So if that's a big deal to you, then that's kind of what it is. But I would tell you that this phone still looks very, very good with this type of panel. It really is one of the better looking, design phones that you can kind of get. And I do think, especially from this side, that's a really, really nice thing going on for this type of phone when it comes down to it. So from that side in and of itself, it definitely gets a thumbs up for me without a doubt. You are getting a USB Type-C port on the bottom of this phone, which again is a very, very nice thing to have. You're also getting the S Pen inside of this phone as well. So once again, having that type of S Pen is a very nice type of feature. It basically is the stylus that allows you to kind of use this phone a little bit more. And I would imagine that that is probably one of the coolest things going on for this type of phone. It's very unique. There's not a lot of phones that give you that type of stylus support. And I definitely do like having a phone like this that does give you that type of capability. So I would say from that side too, that is a really, really nice thing going on for this type of device when it comes down to it. Now beyond that, some other big things to keep in mind here too. Number one, this device is giving you a frosted glass back, which looks very good. It still feels very, very premium, and that is a really nice thing going on for this type of device. You're also still able to go through and basically get, triple, kind of a quadruple camera setup going on for this phone as well, which that in and of itself is another very nice thing going on for this type of phone. And overall, this phone on the exterior still feels like a, $1,000 plus flagship, right? Reverse wireless charging. You're still getting a really good phone in almost every single way. And there's not really that much to really complain about here. So I would probably tell you, in my personal opinion, this is a very good phone. I think it still looks very good. And there isn't too many, massive things to kind of complain about here when it comes down to that type of capability. So personally for me, I think that is in and of itself a really nice thing going on for this type of phone. Price tag wise, this phone costs about $630 to about $650 in the used market. So when you think about it from that side, this phone is not this like a super expensive phone like it used to be. It is still kind of expensive, but in relation to how cheap, the other phones are, this thing is actually pretty insane, right? This thing is a very, very good priced phone when it comes down to it. And I do think this in and of itself is a very big asset for this type of device. The fact that you're able to buy it and able to save a little bit of money here and there, I think is a very, very nice thing going on for this type of phone. And I would say this in and of itself is such a massive aspect of why this phone is so good, is because of that price tag. Now, when it comes down to the camera side, this phone is giving you this like quadruple camera setup on the backside, which is pretty insane. It's like very, very good. This phone is giving you a 200 megapixel wide angle lens. It's also giving you a 10 megapixel telephoto lens, then a 10 megapixel periscope telephoto lens, and then a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. Then it's giving you a 12 megapixel camera on the front side. So with this type of lens, right, this is still a very, very interesting type of camera. You're still getting 8K capability on the back and 4K at 60 on the front. That is a legendary type of experience to have inside of this type of device. And I do think if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, you are going to be getting a very, very solid device from a performance level inside of this type of device when it comes down to it. So once again, I do think personally for me, if you're going to go through and pick up a phone, you're going to be getting a very solid type of experience when it comes down to the camera, capability. So, there's not much else to say. It still holds up very, very well against the competition nowadays as well. So keep that in mind, but this is still a very good device and a very good camera when it comes down to it. Now, when it comes down to the software longevity, this phone is still supported with software, and it's still going to be supported with software probably for several more years. Now, the way Samsung kind of did this was that they went through, and I think this phone is getting like 4 versions of Android. It's going to be getting several different updates here and there, which is really nice. And I think this is a really nice thing going on for this type of phone. Now, within this type of device, you're going to be getting very good, software updates. This is still one of the fastest performing devices on the software. So you're really not going to be missing out on too much when it comes down to that particular side. Like, this phone is still going to be giving you pretty good experience in those fronts. So I think that's a really nice thing going on here. But I would say beyond that, some big things to keep in mind here is that this type of update, for the most part, it's in those types of situations where, it's not going to be lasting as long as its successor. Like, its successor, the S24 Ultra, is going to be lasting way longer than this thing. So that is a little bit of a sad thing. I'm not the biggest fan that when those type of discrepancies happen. But I will still say beyond that, it still is a very, very good performing device, and it's still here for the most part, And especially with the battery life perspective, this phone is giving you like a massive size battery inside of it, and that is very big, 5,000 milliamp hours. That is in and of itself really, really nice type of battery size to have inside of it. And I do think, again, this in and of itself is a very nice thing going on for this type of device when it comes down to it as well. So I always love being able to go and buy these types of Samsung phones, because they end up lasting for such a long period of time. So that is kind of in and of itself another really cool thing going on for this type of phone when it comes down to it as well. Now, on top of that, another very big thing to keep in mind here too is its performance. This thing is still giving you that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside of it with 8 or 12 gigabytes of RAM. So this phone is still going to be giving you like very good performance. Like, you're really not going to be feeling out like you're missing out on too much here. And that's the best thing about some of these Samsung phones, is that they just end up lasting for a very, very long amount of time. So that is something that is really nice. It's very, very convenient to kind of have, because this type of phone can last you for such a long period of time. And I do think this in and of itself is another one of those really, really nice things to kind of keep in mind here, because this phone, from a performance side, is still going to be here, still going to be supported for several more years now. So I will tell you, kind of to sum up this whole entire video, the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra is still one of those phones that is still top tier, and it really is still like one of the better types of phones you can get. I think for the most part, if you are going to go through and pick up a device, I really do think Samsung did an excellent job with this type of phone. And I do think, once again, if you are going to go through and pick up a phone, it does actually make a lot of sense to go ahead and buy a device, like the S23 Ultra. The only other phones I'd even kind of recommend more than this thing would probably be something like I'm trying to think, maybe like a Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra, a Google Pixel 9 Pro XL, an iPhone 16 Pro Max. Other than that, I think you're still going to get a killer phone off this thing, and I think it's a really, really good device when it comes down to it. So from that side, that kind of covers it up there too. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.